You should be asking for reviews. You should be asking people, how do they feel about the services that you offered? And hopefully, when you're doing your job right, hopefully you do get some really positive reviews. Those reviews can be put as testimonials on your social media, on your website. Obviously, that's the goal, is to utilize positive reviews to build, to basically help build your credibility. But when you're asking for the good, the bad, and the ugly, unfortunately, whether it's deserved or not, you are going to get some bad, you are going to get some ugly. And I think it's really important to know, what do you do with that information? How does that information come to you? And really, what does that information mean?
Yeah, because like we're saying, not everyone's going to be happy. Some of it will be vocal. Maybe a phone call to you saying, I'm not happy with this situation or this outcome. Some may post it online, and we see a lot of that now, where people post bad reviews, and they sometimes can go very viral depending on the reviewer or the person responding to it. But if that happens, we need to know how to react so we're not blindsided and just fumbling over our words, saying, well, or ignoring it, which can make the problem 100 times worse.
And I think it's important to keep in mind too that negative reviews are unfortunately much more common than positive reviews. I know I head over our agent support department. By the time the phone call comes to me, nobody ever calls me to tell me how great things are going. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody who's like, I have to tell you about this excellent service, or this excellent, somebody in your team did something amazing, I need to tell you about it. Much more often, I'm getting people calling me up, telling me how they really feel about some things. That's just the nature of humans. We're much more likely to discuss things that we had negative influences with or negative experiences with more than we are positive. So what you should get, point, we're talking about negativity, but ask for the reviews. You will get good ones. You have to pull positive reviews out of people much more than you do the negative. But we're here today to talk about what happens when you receive negative feedback.
Right. Now, very first thing is, don't take it personally unless it is. So unless it's something you did that made them upset, remember that you're representing a carrier, and if the carrier messes up, meaning that you represent that carrier, it may fall back on you. So don't take it personally, unless, of course, you didn't return my phone call, you didn't return my email. If something happens that was a direct result of your actions, own the mistake, apologize, and fix it. Don't make excuses. Don't say, well, it was raining, or my dog threw up, or something else. Just say, look, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. Let me fix it. Keep it simple. The more you say, the deeper hole you could dig in a situation like that.
Yeah. My two things I have to say about this: only apologize if it is actually your fault. Because when you apologize, you admit fault. Now, I do think apology will fix a lot of stuff. It makes people, I also like when I'm going and driving down the road, I have a little bit of anger issues. If someone cuts me off and just drives on, that person is enemy number one. But if that person cuts me off and then gives me a look in the mirror like, hey, I'm sorry, all is forgiven. If you are at fault, apologize first and foremost. Don't come up with an excuse. Don't say, I'm sorry, but. When you use the word but, everything prior to that is not, it doesn't exist. So it's not I'm sorry, but it's I'm sorry. If you didn't, if it was if it was a carrier that made the mistake, do not apologize. When you apologize, you are admitting fault. What you say is you want to get on their side of the table as soon as possible, saying things like, I understand, I can appreciate how you feel right now. I totally understand why you feel the way you do. We need to go ahead and get this corrected. Don't say, I am so sorry United Healthcare did that. You're not at fault. You did not do it. Get on their side of the table and make sure that, again, using things like, I can appreciate that. Another thing I'll mention is you're, and this is just something like if you put a client on hold, or you have to take a couple days to answer somebody, don't say, I'm sorry for the wait. Say, hey, I appreciate your patience. Apologize when there is fault, when you genuinely did something incorrect. Apologize first and foremost, but don't apologize when it's unnecessary. It takes away from the meaning and it makes you admit fault.
Yeah, again, apology, because that's why we have apologize and empathize as the first bullet point here. Apologize, going to be said, your fault, but otherwise empathize. Oh my gosh, that you must be frustrated. Well, that's a very frustrating thing to happen. That's acknowledging what they're going through, saying that you're not blowing it off. I would say then repeat the issue. Make sure you're on the same page, because if you hear something and you misinterpret it, and they're over here and you're over here, that can make the problem even worse. So make sure you're on the same page before you take any actions. Offer a solution if needed, because some people will just call the vent and then next step and solve. Like Olivia said, if you know you have to make a couple phone calls or call senior marketing specialists, say, hey, I got this situation, can you help? Which I highly recommend that you do. That's what we're here for. Let them know, hey, I'm going to get on the ball with this. Let me call you back. Give me a couple days to make some calls and see what I could do. I'll call you back. But then call them back regardless if it's solved or not, to show them that you're making progress, and not just I'll call you when it's solved, because if it never gets solved, you may never call them back and forget, and that again will throw fuel on the fire. So put a note in your CRM or your calendar saying, 2 days, call Myrtle back about this. And even if you don't have an answer, the fact that you're taking actionable steps can help diffuse the situation.
An angry customer, an angry client, a situation is an excellent opportunity to show your value as an agent. If everybody's happy, hunky-dory all the time, then do they necessarily need you? That's something that I always have to remind myself whenever we have an agent that calls in that's irate, something horrible happened. That's an opportunity for us to show our worth and to show how we can help them. So it simply is a mind shift, a change in mind. Now, unfortunately, it's really easy when you have somebody that is angry, upset, they're up to here, and you're here, this is their energy, your energy. It's really easy for you to get brought up to here. It's really hard for you to bring them down. But you just keep that in mind when you are doing your energy. You want to make sure that you bring them down to you. If they're yelling at you and you're yelling back, that's hurting your reputation, it's hurting your relationship, it's making that something that you can't come back from. So being empathetic, offering an apology only when it's necessary, only when it's warranted, and getting on their side of the table. And by that, I mean, it's not you versus them, it's you all versus the world. Get on their side of the table. It'll help them bring that energy down and put them to where you're at.
100%. Yeah. And there's an example here. Thank you for letting me know about this. I'm sorry this happened. See, that sorry is not admitting fault. I'm sorry this situation occurred. Not I'm sorry it's my fault. Just so we're on the same page. You got a nasty phone call, or you call customer service and they blew you off. I'm gonna reach out to my contacts at whatever carrier or whatever situation this is and see what we could do to make this right. I'll call you back in 2, 3, 4 days with an update. And hopefully that diffuses them enough to be like, okay, someone's on my side and batting for me to get this solved. But again, I will go back. And one of the things I think the misconception is in the senior market is that seniors don't call you just to complain. I got very few complaints, people calling to complain, because the carrier wants to be on their good side. You want to be on the good side. Everyone's trying to hopefully solve the situation. But every now and then you get that nasty call. And there were, I'd say, half the situations I got were just people venting. I'm mad this happened. I want you to know this happened so it doesn't happen to anybody else. And if they don't want a situation to be fixed, or maybe the situation's over and they're backfilling you on it, go ahead and say, you know what, thanks, let me know. I'm gonna make some calls and make sure so they know this happened to you so it doesn't happen to anybody else. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. And so if they're just venting, still take some steps to make sure that they know that they were heard and that what they called you about is hopefully getting some resolution. Even if it doesn't, it's a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling.
I think you're going to have two camps. Honestly, whenever somebody is complaining, they're either complaining about your service, because that's what we offer a service, or they're complaining about the outcome or the product, which ultimately is the carrier. So you're going to handle the situation based on what their complaint is about. If it's something that you genuinely messed up on, maybe you wrote down their checking account information wrong, maybe you turned in an application late, maybe you misquoted them something, gave them the wrong premium, you need to apologize. You need to unfault, and you do not give an excuse. Saying something, if you say, I'm sorry, my system, my software may have messed up, something like that, you don't necessarily want to give an excuse. I am so sorry that happened. That is certainly not the way that I want to do business. I appreciate you coming to me, letting me know that was an issue. Let's get this fixed together. You're admitting fault. When it comes to a carrier, maybe the carrier misplaced their application. The carrier took too long to process it. The carrier didn't submit a claim. It's saying, I can appreciate why that's frustrating. When we wrote that carrier together, we trusted that carrier together. I understand where you're coming from. Let me make a few phone calls. We'll get this fixed. Never once did I apologize. I didn't do anything wrong. but I got on their side of the table. I let them know what my next steps were going to be and let them know how I was going to fix the issue. Again, providing my service, letting them know why they have me as their agent versus them calling 1-800 number. Just your messaging is very important whenever it comes to a sensitive situation like an unhappy consumer.
Yeah, and Sydney makes a great point. You know, she says she learned from a theater owner never to apologize because you admit fault opens liability and lawsuit. And she even said it's not real necessarily here per se. You're not going to be sued for, you know, like if you transcribe a number wrong, it is a fixable thing, but you still don't want to admit fault because, you know, you just make sure you fix it. I mean, once it's fixed, fault can sometimes go out the window. It's done, it's fixed, move out with your life.
Now, Anne asked a great question. Anne asked, what if it's something that can't be fixed? So let's go down those two camps again. The carrier messed up. They missed an effective date. You can't fix the claim. What do you do at that point? It's okay. You know what? This is not the carrier that I feel comfortable. What this has done, this has taught me I don't feel comfortable putting my clients with a carrier that does this. Let's go ahead and look at other options for you because this doesn't work. It's, you know, I'm not going to fix that situation. I can't change, and I think it's important to say I can't change what that company did, but I can help you in the future with other those decisions. So let's make sure that, you know, we put you with a carrier that is not going to make that same mistake. So you're still taking action on something that can't be fixed. You're still doing what I would call a forward motion to correct it. Now, again, if it is something that, let's say, for example, you made the mistake. Let's just say, for example, right now it's after the first of the year. Let's say that you forgot to turn in an application during AEP effective January 1st. Your client's on a prescription drug plan that they don't want to be on, they can't fix. Ultimately, that's something that cannot be fixed at that point. So what do? Admit fault, apologize, do not give them an excuse, offer a peace offering. No, giving them a fruit basket, giving them a gift card to something, that's not going to correct the problem, but it shows how genuinely apologetic you are. Genuine human emotion will overcome a lot of that. It is possible you'll lose business. It is possible you lost that trust, but not giving excuses, showing genuine human emotion and offering a peace offering or something like that will go a long way.
Yeah, and don't forget, you are the company. When you sell that product, you are that company in the eyes of the client. And Olivia did something very important there. When she was talking about the carrier mess up, she said, they mess up, but I can correct it. So you're saying, while the client sees you as one because you sold that policy, when that comes to where there's a situation needs to be corrected, make sure you do a separation. Yeah, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, Mutual of Omaha, whoever's over here, but I'm on your corner. So it's them, I, not we. So make sure you separate there.
Get on their side of the table as soon as possible.
The other thing is don't lie. Don't ever lie because, so true story, my father he was in the automotive field forever. Worked at a dealerships and yada, yada, yada. But he told me the story one day and it stuck with me. He goes, I had a car in the shop and I told him we were waiting for a part. We got delayed. I told him we were waiting for a part. It hadn't come in yet. The customer went over the parts counter, asked about the part. The parts guy goes, oh yeah, we have it right here. So the customer walked out to my dad and goes, is this the part you're looking for? And he was like, ugh. So he goes, don't, because if they catch you, all trust goes out the window. I mean, it's just doesn't matter what you can send them a fruit basket, you can send them a puppy, you can pay off their mortgage. They're not going to care. You lied and you were caught. So don't lie, you know, because admitting fault is something a lot of people don't do when they screw up. So when you do it, it's almost kind of refreshing sometimes. And believe you me, I do it every morning with my wife. You know, it's my fault. I'm sorry it's cold out. My bad. So now we're going to switch it up real quick because these are people calling you with, hey, I'm upset at this. But what if they don't? What if they post online? What if they go to your local Google site, or what if they post somewhere, Yelp or anywhere else that you might be found?
Facebook, on your Facebook business page.
Exactly. And they post a negative response. First thing, and this is, I've read a ton of articles this past week about negative feedback. And the number one tone on this, or number one tip was always don't ignore it. Respond like you would in person. And the greatest example of this that they gave was restaurants. If you're in a new town looking for a restaurant and you see maybe it's a 3-star review restaurant. So, you know, some people like it, some people don't. It's kind of in the middle. But all those 1 and 2 star reviews, if there's no response from the restaurant themselves, it looks like the restaurant doesn't care. We don't care that you had a bad time. Oh, well. Now, the restaurants that had responses typically had higher feedback. Even if it wasn't that great of a restaurant, the fact that the restaurant took the time to say, we're sorry, oh my gosh, that's horrible, I'm sorry that happened, please come back, we'd love to take care of you. Those places resonate much better with the public than just ignoring it altogether.
I'd say what's even worse than ignoring it is like making excuses. Even if like you have a real, for lack of a better term, a real Karen on there and she's complaining about everything, you know, I'm sorry that you feel your experience was poor, you know. Please visit, you know, let us know when you come back in. We'll make sure you have a very positive experience next time. When you fight and argumentatively, like, you don't want to be a meme. You don't want to be, you know, you don't want to be an internet sensation in a negative way. Don't draw negative attention to it. But, you know, just making sure that you're not being argumentative, because that could be very detrimental as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know, just face it, own it. And, you know, there are a lot of protocols in place. So if it's a blatant, if it's a false review, like you don't know who that person was and they posted just because they don't like you or they did on accident, there are protocols most platforms have in place for bogus reviews. So you could apply for that if it's blatantly bad. But also, I always get nervous. I think people get smart on this too when there's too many positive reviews. If everything's great, that tells me either one, they're paying for the reviews, or two, someone's lying. So if you think, oh my God, I got a negative review, it's all over. No, that just means that you're not perfect, and that's okay. It's how you respond to it, because I know Amazon got in trouble for that, for people being paid to post reviews. And you see these, you know, products with 18,000 5-star reviews. It's like, okay, what's the catch? And if you read through those, you'll see if I listed a 5-star review, they gave me another product for free. So they were basically enticing for positive reviews. And a lot of people are seeing that and getting sick of it. So a negative review won't hurt you as long as you handle it well. Yeah, yes. So if you, and of course, if they call, if they email, if they leave you voicemail, if they post online and you're like, I don't know what to do, I want to talk to somebody before I have a knee-jerk reaction, give us a call. That's what we're here for. So we'll be more than happy to help you with some verbiage, help rectify the situation, whatever happening. Give us a call. We're in your corner, because I can tell you, every time I had to respond to something negative, I always talk to somebody first that can have some fresh set of eyes, look at it and go, oh, I wouldn't say that, I'd say this instead. And I'd be like, oh, that's much better, yes. Because sometimes we take it a little personal, and then we can kind of be a little off-putting our responses. I know I've been known to do that once or twice a day. So make sure it doesn't happen to you. I know you're thinking, Mike, you get negative feedback? No. Yes. But anyway, so that leads us right to our support services. So again, that's what we're here for. If you have a situation, let us know. Go to smsteam.net, go services. You can go to support and type your situation in. Or, of course, you can live chat us on smsteam.net, or call us, email us. You could show up at our office, although it's COVID. Probably wouldn't recommend that. You can send a fax if you're, you know, in 1994, whatever. Just, you know, get a hold of us.
I mean, yeah, use us, abuse us. Let us know what we can do.
And next week, it's back. Yes, 3rd year running, Cross-Selling Symposium, February 8th through 12th, all next week, 11 o'clock Central. We're going to talk about cross-selling, DVH. We're going to talk about home health, final expense, cancer, and hospital indemnity.
Final expense, hospital indemnity, cancer. Yeah.
Yes. I apologize, but this is Sales 101. It is. You know what, though? I think the key part of this, an element, yeah, this is the basics of sales, but I think a lot of boomers and older are going online. So you see that online negative review. It's one of those where, okay, how do you respond? Because I see a lot of people ignore them, and that's the situation. So you know what? And sometimes it's good to go back to basics. You know, we got to remind ourselves that this stuff happens. And I know I've had conversations with people where I'm like, you didn't know that? And they're like, I've been in the market for 6 months. Why would I know that? And you're like, oh yeah, Yeah, that's a good point. So we get our blinders on, and then a situation comes in from the left or right, and we either don't see it or knocks us in the head, and we realize I need to pay attention and not take some things for granted. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But yeah, join us next week, Crosslink Symposium. Whether you're new or experienced, hopefully you get some good nuggets and use that in the field. So we're definitely going to our goal is to give practical, useful information all next week. Not I hypothesize how you can sell it, but how you can sell it.
Yep.
And of course, Friday Live, MA Plan Week Points on the Medicare Cafe page. If you don't know how to get notified for live feeds on Facebook, it's pretty simple. There are instructions on the Facebook page. To do that, it's about 4 steps and you're good to go. It takes about 38 seconds, depending on how fast your internet is. But we're going to talk about week points and MA plans, and it's a perfect lead up to next week when we're talking about cancer plans that tie in perfectly, in my opinion, with MA plans, and we'll talk about that. So, yep. Yes, and that's it. Any questions, comments, concerns, threats, promises, any negative feedback you got, let us know. I know. And remember, when they call with a complaint, whether it's on you or not, that's still negative feedback. And I would definitely take notes. You're going to have these onesie twosies that happen. I had a bad experience with customer service, but watch for those patterns. If you see a carrier that's constantly giving bad service, let us know, because maybe we could talk to our local reps or someone above and say, hey, we're seeing a lot of negativity here. What's going on? So include us in all the good and the bad. But be nice with the bad stuff, please. We ask.
Again, all information is good information. All feedback is good knowledge to have. Sometimes you have to think about don't change an entire system, don't change an entire process because of a single bad review. You have to understand you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. But again, like Mike said, if you're seeing trends, if you're seeing issues, then that is something that you need to take a hold of. You need to don't write off everything. You just have to make sure that you take it to heart, or what are you wanting to do with that information. And Cindy's asking what's wrong with my clock. That clock has not worked since I've been in this office. It's something I bought at Hobby Lobby, and it was a 50% off clock, and it has not worked since it's been hung up. Which has been
off. Yeah, 50 half off. It's right twice a day. There you go. So, okay. Yes, Sadie is reminding us to do our jobs.
So in order to access the Medicare Cafe Live that we do, again, that is on the Facebook page. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. The Facebook page is where we're going to be posting recordings of the trainings that we do for Medicare Cafe, and it's where we go live. So just go to facebook.com, type in Medicare Cafe, click on the fan page. We'll be there at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time sharp. So the other page, you go to Medicare Cafe Agent Network. That's going to take you to the group. That's where we do a lot of discussions. Mike will post a lot of tools and resources in there as well. So that's how you access that information.
Yeah. So basically, it's all on Facebook. I will say this, and Olivia and I and Sadie were talking earlier this morning, and some great advice I got about social media, because, we've been talking about social media for years, and one of the most neglected communities on social media has been the older community, the boomers plus, and they're all running online. They're all going online, especially with COVID. That's where all their kids and grandkids are. So to connect with them, they have to be on there. But they were saying, rather than trying to do all the networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever you're doing, the best advice I heard for a long time is don't go wide, go deep. Don't try and do 10 platforms really well. Pick 1 to 2 and just own it. And in our market, it's Facebook. So just get ingrained in Facebook and make it happen. Yes, LinkedIn's still great. Yes, Instagram's still great. But if you don't have enough time to do social media as it is, don't try and do 5 poorly. Just do 1 well. That's the best advice I got all last week in all the research I've been doing about negative reviews and social media and all the miscellaneous articles I read and listen to.
All right, guys. So with any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, put them